All right, guys. Hello again. We are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, welcome to our virtual reception celebrating our new show, Madison's Lakeshore, by artist here, Christian Gonzalez. Christian, thank you so much for being
Hello.
here with us today.
Thank you for
Guys,
having me.
guys, we are so excited to have Christian in this space. It is truly rewarding, to be able to exhibit, a young up and coming artist such as himself. So let's dive right into it, guys. I will hand things over to Christian. And while during the presentation, guys, the floor is open to you. Any comments or questions, be sure to drop them in the chat there in Zoom or on Facebook. We're monitoring the Facebook chat as well. All right, guys, enjoy. Hi, Christian.
Hi. I hope everyone is doing well today. So I'll just go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Christian Gonzalez. I'm from the East Coast. My family was military, so we kind of moved around quite a bit. But yes, I'm in California now. I'm here for school and, just working out my artist experience. So with that being said, we'll kind of hop right on in. The name of this exhibition is Madison Lakeshore. It's actually named after my high school art teacher. She was just, a very good, she was my inspiration in a lot of ways. I'm sure we can all think of at least a handful of teachers that we've experienced in our time going through school, where we just like remember them and we know we always will. But yes, so moving right on in, let's go ahead and, oops, give me just a second. There we go. So yeah, so pretty much, I don't really have like a set subject matter or a unique style. I don't think in terms of or a specific style. I don't think. I just like to experiment with all different types of mediums, subjects, and just ideas. And so I like to just say it's a collective summary of my imagination, and that's what I'm going to be showing you guys. Moving on. So this first one right here is going to be a charcoal on, oops. This one's actually a charcoal on canvas. Oh, excuse me. That's actually supposed to be a charcoal on paper. But yeah, 18 by 24 inches. I really like using charcoal methods. My instructor that I had when she was teaching me this, you basically just cover everything with charcoal and then you use the eraser to like color, per se. So like I find the subtractive element to be kind of an interesting technique to use. And I'm a big fan of grayscale and black and white. Yeah, so this is definitely one of my favorites for sure. I have the next one as well, which is the same thing. This one's more of just a tranquil beach scene based on like an evening time. But yeah, same setup. You just have all black and then you just kind of erase to get your highlights and shadows and all that kind of look. But moving on, this one is a similar style. However, this one's a similar style. However, I just used more of like it's with pastels. And so I just used like a set of colors that I liked a lot at the time and just kind of did the same thing. I like drawing eyes a lot. So you may see that often from me, but it was interesting. It's a nice process. And I did enjoy doing this as well. And these first three that I've shown are actually at the museum right now. So you're more than welcome to come check them out. Please do. This one would be an acrylic painting that I did. This was actually my first large scale painting. Before this, I would actually just do like these 16 by 20 inches or just like sketchbook work. This one was definitely a happy mistake, to say the least. My intentions were to do a portrait kind of similar to my own skin tone. However, I noticed that like in the beginning when I was painting it, I wish I had some of the photos of the process. In the beginning, it almost came across as like one of those anatomy drawings you would see in a book. Very like, it looked like a lot of flesh tones and it just kind of came across as, I didn't like it that much. And so I decided that I would try to change the color in some other ways. And then I had actually just kind of wanted to warm it up a little bit. But then I ended up going with a more like orangish reddish hue. And then I decided that I was too far past like actually doing my own skin tones, that I would try to play with color in an abstract way. And so that's kind of how this came about. I started by adding like the blue, the hints of blues, and then I went in with the greens and purples and so on and so forth. But this one was a happy mistake, but it's actually one of my favorite paintings, if not my favorite painting specifically. And this one actually is at the museum as well. So I definitely would like you guys to go check it out too. Check them all out, honestly. But yeah, moving on to the next one. This right here is going to be another acrylic on canvas. It's a little bit smaller, 14 by 14 inches. This one's just based on an old memory in our neighborhood. We used to, back on the East Coast, we used to have this like rope swing we would always meet up at, me and some friends. And this is just kind of my memory of that. And so like you're just waiting for everyone to show up, and it's somebody winging on a rope swing is kind of the subject on that one. But yeah, it's a smaller painting, but I love this one too. I love them all, but yeah. This one's another acrylic on canvas, 16 by 20 inches. I wanted something, I painted this one during, I think this was Halloween season of 2020, I believe. But yes, I wanted something that had a kind of like an eerie feeling to it. I kind of wanted to make, I don't really know how to explain it, but I just wanted something that had kind of like just a kind of an eerie feeling. That's the only way I can really describe it. And so it's just a painting of somebody walking. However, there's, if you look closely on the right-hand side over here, I don't know if you can see my cursor moving around it. I kind of have like a hidden subject as well. And it's kind of like setting up a scene of some sort. But yeah, it turned out to be, I liked the way it came out. So here it is. And so then moving on, I have another 18 by 24 inch acrylic. These are acrylic pours. So I have a few of these that I'll be showing today. Basically, if you're familiar or not, it's just a technique that you can use where you just kind of like combine a bunch of colors and then you pour them onto the canvas. And you can always create these really beautiful abstract patterns. I enjoy this technique quite a bit due to the fact that it's very hard to recreate the same pattern. So whenever you pour with acrylic paintings or any kind of a pour of any kind, you'll never really repeat the same pattern. It's almost like a snowflake in a sense, it's never the same. So I'm very fond of doing these. It can be a bit excess in the paint that you use, but it's still a beautiful process, and I enjoyed this one quite a bit. And also, I like that, and this was a happy accident as well, but on the right-hand side, or you can actually see it on both images, but like there's kind of like a face. I titled this painting Mother, and it's based on like my own mom, but like I see her face a little bit over here. So that's kind of where my mind was at on that one. Moving on, this one right here is City Blocks. This is a spray paint acrylic combination. So the bottom layer, when you see the black and silver colors underneath the kind of like rainbowy patterns that you see on top, that was actually a spray paint, kind of like a spray paint painting that was done. And then over top of that, I sectioned off with tape different sections and then did an acrylic pour on top of that, and then let it dry and then took off the tape. And that's how you get these little interesting, what I believe to look like city blocks. And it kind of reminds me of some of the areas downtown as well. But yes, this one's City Blocks, 16 by 24 or 20 inches. And it has a lot of texture to it. You have to see it up close or in person to really see, like it has like it's very heavy in texture, which I like that a lot. And then we can go on over to the next one. This is an abstract painting that I have done. It's based on the idea of hope. And so you kind of have like this figure here who's just continually trying to catch all these these orbs, and then you can see he's collected, you know, just over here down here at the bottom, he's kind of collected a few of them already. But yeah, this is a very abstract, really hard. It's hard to explain, but it's a very abstract painting, and I actually do like this one quite a bit because it's so simple, but yet it has such a thought behind it that I'm just fascinated with, and I'm fond of this one. But yes, and this one is also 16 by 20 as well. And then here I have another series of acrylic paintings. On the left-hand side, you're going to see just like it's not any tree in specifically. I just wanted to envision a place or like a seat or a setting that would make one relaxed. And to me, this is what does that for me. I'm not sure if it's the choice in color for the sky or background or the tree itself, but it just has a very calming effect to it as well. And so as the one on the right-hand side, I just wanted something that would just really invoke one to just feel like, just to take a deep breath and just kind of relax. And so the same thing on both of these paintings. They're both acrylic paintings, 16 by 20 inches. And they have their own techniques applied to them. I like to just try different, you know, when I have some of these art classes, starting from high school and then kind of till recently, really, you just learn there's so many different techniques and so many different ways to practice and translate an idea or an image that you have in your mind. And I just am fascinated with exploring that. That's why I don't like to have a set style just yet. I like to just see like what will translate my idea in the best way possible. But yeah, these are also at the museum, and one of my another good one. And so here, just like some of the acrylic pours we saw earlier, like the one that I had mentioned titled Mother, this is going to be one of my largest acrylic pour paintings. This one is called The Wave. These are interesting processes. I love, again, like I had mentioned earlier, these are very much a one and done kind of pattern. So like you'll never be able to recreate the exact layout of the color mixtures or combinations or how they interact with each other, because it's based on like the consistency of the different paints. Some of them are a little bit more watered down than others. And especially when you do it in layers and you mix with some that are, you know, paint that's a little bit more dry than other sections, you just get these really beautiful, organic looking patterns that I just am very fascinated with. But yeah, and then on the next slide, you'll actually see, because up close, you just see all the different bits of detail. Starting on the left-hand side, you can see down towards the bottom of the wave where kind of the blues and the yellows and the reds all kind of meet and mix. And then as the wave begins to crest towards here in the middle, you can kind of see more of those colors. And if you look even closer, you'll just see even like even deeper in there, you'll see just beautiful combinations and mixing of the colors, and all the way up until the full crest of the wave, where it kind of is like blending with the sky in some ways. You'll see even greater detail. And I love that each of these images are all from the same painting. And you can just find yourself looking at it for quite a bit of time, just kind of like looking at all the different patterns and the way that they all interact with each other and make one greater image. But yes, and then I believe, yeah, this one's 5 by 4 feet as well. And then we'll kind of go on over to, this is one of my more recent paintings. This one's titled Dream. It's kind of based on, it's hard to, it's kind of based on where my mind was at the time and dealing with like a lot of like, I think it was based a lot on anxiety, really. And so you have a lot kind of going on here, and I do like to paint eyes. And then you have, you know, just someone, excuse me, you have the person down here walking, you have, you know, there's 4 different subjects here, 5 if you really include the people, or more than that if you include all the individual eyes. But yeah, it's really just based on anxiety, really. This would be how I would paint that. But yes, 4 by 3 feet. This one's also in the museum. And I encourage you guys to see all of them. Next one is, these two are also my more recent paintings as well. On the left-hand side, I have an owl. I definitely like to play with color a lot. I don't like to use like, I like to kind of, I'll take a real subject and I'll kind of fictionalize, you know, the way it can be depicted with color in terms of like, you know, I know there's not really a blue and orange rainbowy kind of owl, but I like to, you know, see things under a different light. And this one's based off of a barn owl. I am just fascinated with them. I think they're some of the most beautiful creatures we have ever been given the pleasure to actually get to witness in nature. But yes, and then over on the right-hand side, this one is actually titled The Engineer. This one is actually my most recent painting completed. I really wanted to challenge myself with painting something that's more in the realm of science fiction, in terms of like, not necessarily completely extraterrestrial, but things that are just otherworldly in a sense, you know, things that would really just kind of challenge what we would normally see on a day-to-day basis. And so that's kind of where my mind at was with this one. But yes, and this one is also a stacked painting. And when I say stacked, there's actually an image underneath the painting, and you kind of have to be up close to really see it. But there's actually an image underneath the painting. And then on top of that is where you'll see this extraterrestrial kind of being on top. And then it's very much a textured painting because of the painting that was underneath of it. You will see it has like, it's hard to, it's like this, it has like, there's a lot of 3 dimensions to it if you really look at it up close. But yeah, these are both acrylic paintings, and they are also at the museum. And this is kind of a breakdown as well of some of this. I know I had mentioned already some of how the acrylic pour is done. But like these over here, like, so these are kind of how we make the wave paintings, as well as some of these are just abstract. I call these thoughts. Some people have identified them as like jellyfish from above kind of thing, which I find to be interesting. And that's one of my favorite responses from people when I ask them what they think it is. But yeah, you see, we'll fill the cups up with different colors, and then you kind of pour them on, and then you use like either like a hair dryer or some kind of like, you know, technique to blow it around, and that's how you get these really interesting patterns. For the circular ones, what you do is you'll pour the paint onto the canvas, and then you use like a balloon, and you fill it up, and you take the balloon and you just press down very lightly on the painting with the wet paint. You'll press down and it'll make this perfect circular shape for you. And when you press, it actually forces the colors to really interact with each other and blend more. And that's how you get these really intricate details in each of these little orbs that you see on the painting. But yeah, this is another one of my favorite methods to use. However, it can just be a little excess in terms of how much waste you create. You don't use all, I try to use as much paint as possible. And if I have like extra, I will try to like make some kind of like extra painting out of it, or do some kind of, you pour it all into another singular cup and then make like one great pour out of everything. That way, you try to be as conservative as possible. But yeah, this can be a little wasteful for me. But it's a great method, and it's fun to like try at home. I definitely would recommend doing it. So now I wanted to introduce my digital art series. I like to try different mediums. I like to try different techniques. I like to try different, I like to try different things. I think it's fun to try to challenge yourself as much as possible. Recently, I became fascinated with an app that I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with. If not, it's called Procreate. It is a very, it's a great app, and it's perfect for people who just want to if you're sketching, if you're an artist, if you're a designer, if you're doing anything really, Procreate it's the tool to use. And so this is some of the series. Some of this work is from a series that I've created on my Procreate account. And so we'll kind of take a look at that. So moving on to the next one. So these are just gonna be portraits. I like to play with color, like I mentioned before, in many different ways. And I find it fascinating to use. I like to pick colors that are not your traditional figure colors. I try not to use like nude tones, anything that would kind of be realistic in a sense. I like to use my imagination when I'm coloring these bodies. And I like to use colors that don't necessarily blend, to play with lighting and shadows and shading and stuff like that. So with this technique, I usually will pick about 4 or 5 colors, and they will range from, I mean, it's a variety as we'll continue to see, but I like to pick 4 colors for each portrait. And typically if it's a person in particular, it's based on, color preferences, what they may like, as well as what I think it's hard to explain, but I see people when you meet people, I feel like they radiate a certain color to them, and they make you think of certain things, or you may make connections in certain ways, but I like to see people in different colors. And so with this series, you'll kind of see how I follow suit with that. And it's a very interesting process. It's a very interesting but very tedious process. For the first portion of these, I was drawing these on my phone, which required me to zoom in to like the finest degree. And it's a lot of really tiny, 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 tiny lines. And you just kind of, you never want to, I like that it has like a sketch kind of look to it. And so I try to keep that by just doing the tiny, tiny, tiny lines. But yes, this is this is probably my favorite. Oops, I'll go back some. These are probably some of my favorite methods. This probably is my favorite method actually, of creating. I like to play with the colors. I like the way they look. For this one in particular, with Procreate, you have the option to actually invert the image. So whenever you use colors, like if you look on the left, this is going to be the original portrait. However, if you look on the right-hand side, you're going to see what it would look like if it was inverted. And I like them both equally. I'll let you guys decide which do you prefer, but I like them both equally, but sometimes I almost do like the inverted image a little bit more. But it's the same method, lots of tiny, tiny lines. And I like to use all different kinds of colors, particularly some that don't necessarily blend better than others. And then we'll kind of go on to the next one. Here, same concept. And then down here on the right-hand side, it's just a zoomed in one. I typically don't color the face because the eyes are the big, is like the accent for me. It's like the signature piece. And so if you look back, I try not to color the face in any way, except for like if there's facial hair or something like that. But with this bottom right-hand picture, I have done a few of them in which the face does have a majority of the color. And I like that method as well. I'm still trying to figure out, exactly how I can navigate this method and, ways I can kind of make it better. But yes, this is definitely my style to some degree. And then right here is kind of the same thing where the full body is actually colored. But it is one of my favorites. And then, so here, we're about to the end. And so I have my sculptures. Like I said already, I like to play with many different mediums and try many different things. And so these were actually built in my kitchen. My roommates were so mad at me for this because it took up so much space. But like I needed a stable environment, and our garage was full at the time. So I couldn't do it outside because I didn't want like things to get into them or like bugs and stuff. So yeah, it was built in the kitchen. We'll start with the left. This is like a driftwood man that I painted. It all started with like a headpiece. We used to walk the beaches a lot, and this is in Humboldt County. I don't know if you guys are familiar with, but it's just about 5 hours north. We used to walk the beaches a lot, and driftwood always is on the shore at some point, and you can almost just, it's like a graveyard of just driftwood all the time. And so I actually found this headpiece a couple weeks before I actually had the idea to create the large body. But I knew that this headpiece was something that I really was interested in. And I remember just looking at it a lot and thinking like, I have to create a body to kind of match this. And so I I think a couple weeks later, me and some friends actually went and got like garbage bags full of driftwood and brought it back to the house. And then we kind of laid it all out, and we pretty much just like made like they helped me make like a figure of some kind in terms of like the layout of how the body would work. However, I didn't really put much thought into the integrity of the body. So if you actually look closely, you'll see a bunch of screws, kind of like, it's just an accumulation of driftwood and screws. There's no frame underneath all of that. It almost has like a Lincoln log kind of method to it, where you just like stack and see what works and what doesn't and kind of move forward. But I did start at the feet and I worked my way up, building the legs, lower calves, thighs. And then I had to get to the hips where I could connect the legs, and then kind of just build up and then build all the way out to the arms and chest and everything like that. But yes, it was definitely a very interesting process. I learned a lot. And I was actually very pleased that I got him to stand on his own. That was a very big deal for me. And I mean, the driftwood man towers over me. I think we measured him. He was just under 8 feet tall. And so I really did. It was a fun process, and I really did enjoy making it there. But yes, that would be, that one's still in Humboldt. And then the lamp, however, is actually at the museum. So you can actually come see the lamp anytime. This is a lamp that I had made. I like to take repurposed materials and make things out of them. And so the lamp is one of my newer creations. This is a piece of driftwood at the top that I found. It has these beautiful curves and twists to it. Almost kind of looks like it's like flowing in a way. And I sanded it, stained it, gave it this really dark finish, dark black wood finish. I hollowed out this little groove where the light fixture actually sticks out from. And then I wired it and everything. I made my own concrete mold. And you have to stick a piece of rebar in there, let it dry. It's a process, but it was very entertaining. And it turned out to be, it works. It's a working lamp. So I love making things that are functional, that can be useful, and really just kind of like, they can interact between the viewer and the subject and the viewer. There's that interaction there. I didn't make the light bulb, but I did. It was, I did find, I think the light bulb came from, I can't remember which hardware store it was, but it's like a self-shading light bulb too. So it even plays with the way the light is distributed. And it really just kind of accents the whole piece as a whole. But yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite things that I've made. I love painting and I love using Procreate artwork. But when it comes to making sculptures like the Driftwood Man and this lamp, when they're functional and they can, do something, I really feel accomplished. And so this is one of my more exciting pieces of work that I think that I've made. But with that being said, we've reached the end. And so if anybody has any questions, well, I want to first thank you guys for hanging in there for this entire thing. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. But yeah. Oh, good question. What inspired me? I think I've always kind of wanted to make things. That's like I like to, I don't know. I have like a sketchbook that I've had since high school that like, I just put ideas in. And even before that, I always just liked, my parents would bring home like little art supplies or stuff, or you'd have like an art class or something and they give you an idea. And I don't know. I just really like translating my imagination of things that like I see in my head or like that I fall asleep or dream about, and actually seeing them in a physical space. As for like some of these paintings though, I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I had a house in Humboldt County. And in the beginning, I just really wanted to like make things so I could fill the house really. Like I wanted to put stuff on the walls. And so that's kind of how I started, painting specifically like on canvas. I don't know how to word this. I find it, I don't like feeling limited to certain things or feeling like I'm bound to certain techniques by any means. I definitely like I was saying, I really like to challenge myself and try different, you know, like Miss Madison, who this is named after, you know, when you take some of these art classes, they show you so many different techniques and so many different ways to translate the same idea, but which one do you think really best translated that thought or that moment of your imagination the best? And so I'll try many different methods. And I just like trying different things, you know. It's hard for me to say, and it also probably has a lot to do with because I'm fairly early on in my creative career. Oops, hold on one second. I'm pretty early on in my creative career, and so I really just I like knowing what works for me, what doesn't work for me, you know, and just exploring.
Mhm. Now, did you kind of stumble across painting and sculpting at the same time, or did sculpting come later, or how did you kind of evolve into that?
I would say painting came first. Yeah, playing with being two-dimensional came first, I think. You know, it was sketchbooks. I used to have a really hard time. It sounds kind of weird, but I used to have a really hard time shading with color. I can only do like sketching, like black and white shading. But I don't know why when I think back on it, but I used to have this really hard time like shading with color. And so when I finally got like my first set of acrylic paints, and I still have the paintbrush that my art teacher gave me, it's somewhere around here. But um, when I started actually playing with paint, it became a little bit more of an easier process for me. And so I definitely started to explore that more. And then sculptures, when I actually had the resources, I would say, you know, I used to have like this pretty big toolbox in the garage with like, you know, it was like a workshop kind of area. And so when I could actually start playing around with different like materials and, you know, sandpaper and like drills and stuff like that, that's really opened up the doors for me for a lot of like sculptures and stuff like that. That's a good question. Oh, wow. I mean, honestly, I would say find your voice, you know, I'm still trying to find mine, you know? And so I think like, you know, just getting comfortable, like, and creating your own identity, your own body of work, your own, you know, just find your voice, you know, that's probably my only, you know, try what you can, get out of your comfort zone. That's a big thing for me. You know, you never know what you might like until you have to try it. So I definitely am an advocate for, you know, getting out of your comfort zone, try different mediums, try different methods in general, you know. Maybe if you paint, try to make a sculpture. If you make sculptures only, try to make a painting, you know, just try different things. You never know what you're going to end up liking. Or, I mean, you might even create something new doing that too. So I definitely, that would probably be my best advice.
Absolutely.
I think we did have another question. I feel
Yeah.
bad. I don't want to miss out
No,
on
do
responding to this
we?
person.
Do
They
we?
said, sorry for asking this a bit late, but I was wondering about what you had said about the colors, the way that you see when meeting people in the regards to your portraits.
Mm.
What more is there about that? That's actually a good question. So I don't want to sound like I don't want to sound like superstitious or anything like that, but like whenever I interact with people, um, you know, everyone has their own personality, and their own, you know, there's something unique to them that makes them as an individual. And so I find it, whenever I meet different people, when I talk to different people, I kind of like, it's harder to explain, but like I see them in different colors. And it's that's really all I can say to that, but like without really kind of going off into some weird tangent. But like I do, you know, each of these portraits, and even I didn't show all of the digital artwork and stuff today, but the different portraits of different people, they definitely, I want to maintain the level of individuality between them. And I use their personality for reference, and I use, you know, their being, and I use different colors to represent that. Um, but yeah, that's probably the best way to really to really answer that. I don't really know how to explain it. It's really just like, it's just like, you know, if you know, I don't know how to explain it. But yes, thank you for asking. Oh, I guess it would be kind of similar to synesthesia. Okay, I've heard of that. Yeah, so I guess it would be kind of like that as well. We're like, yeah, definitely. I could agree with that.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Christian.
Thank you.
Guys, here's Christian's show, Madison's Lakeshore, is on display at the International Art Museum of America until March 20th. So guys, it's really an experience, and we're really excited to get that digital experience into the exhibit too. So that is coming.
Yes.
So we're really excited to have that in the works. So be on the lookout for that. You can divert to the chat box there, guys, or in the event description above to learn how to follow everything happening at IAMA and follow Christian himself as well. We have a little preview that you can see here. It's an entirely new experience seeing these works in person in our gallery. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for stopping in again. I want to thank Christian again for being with us here today. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for your wonderful questions. And thank you again for being here today. Be sure to follow again. And we hope to see you at IAMA to enjoy Christian's show. Again, it's on view until March 20th.
Please go check it out.
Yes. All right, guys. Thank you so much for spending part of your Monday with us, and we will hopefully see you at our next event. All right, guys.
Have a good one. Stay happy, stay healthy.
The International Art Museum of America, located at 1025 Market Street, sits in the heart of downtown San Francisco between 6th and 7th Street. The aim of our nonprofit museum is to display artwork from disparate cultures to promote peace and harmony among peoples. Visitors will enter a serene garden with full rock formations, a tropical landscape, and a waterfall flowing into ponds. Our gallery houses traditional and contemporary ink and wash Chinese paintings, abstract oil paintings, and hyper-realistic ink paintings of animals and figures. Approximately 60% of our collection are paintings and sculptures by the contemporary artist H.H. Dorje, Shang Buddha III. The gallery also houses European and Western oil paintings beginning from the 17th century to present day, including works by French realist Rosa Bornet, the Norwegian impressionist Frits Kahlo, and the French Fauvist Maurice Flaminique. IAMA offers a beautiful environment as well as 2 rotating exhibition spaces. Admission is now free. Here in our gift shop, we have something for everyone, whether you are local, just visiting, or shopping for yourself. We have many products based on IAMA's artwork, as well as international and Bay Area themed items. We do our best to have a consistent flow of new and exciting products so that you can always find something special to take home from your visit to IAMA.